I am Theresa Thibodeau, and I am running for governor because I see that we have some very important choices ahead of us in the next few months. Our choices are we going to finally address our tax issue or continue to let it go on for decades as we have? Are we going to address our education issues, not only the divisive curriculum, but sexualizing our children, but how they are behind? Or are we going to let that continue to happen and lose our children? Are we going to allow the crime that we're seeing across the US into our state? Or are we going to stand up and be hard on criminals and make sure they stay in jail where they belong? And our freedoms are under attack every day. We need to stand strong. We need to not allow the federal government to come into our state with mandates that we do not want. Because if we don't step up now, we may lose our chance. And it's because of my service to others that I have chosen to stand up for our children, for our freedoms, for our taxes. And it's my experience in service of serving in the legislature, serving in an Omaha Personnel Board, a business owner, and service to community that I entered this race. Thank you.
My name is Braelyn Reidenauer. I'm from Northeast Nebraska. I live out in the Omaha area. I'm an IT manager for a company right there in Omaha. It's been in Nebraska for 50 years. I'm running for governor because I believe we need leadership in this state that will value, restore, and protect our constitutional rights from an overreaching federal and sometimes a state government. We need a Christian leader that understands that abortion is morally reprehensible and must be banned. We also need a leader who can produce solutions to the problems that have been plaguing this state for many years. Not only solutions that will fix a problem, but will also be sustainable. And a leader that can work with every aspect and every individual in our legislative body to be able to get these solutions implemented into our state. We need a leader who is of the people, for the people. That isn't here for any sort of clout, that doesn't have any sort of agenda or reputation that needs to be protected. Somebody who is here for the right reasons. Somebody who's here who doesn't want to make it a career, but wants to make this state better. That is me. I am that individual. And ultimately, I'm running because Nebraska is my home. I am here, I am married, I have children, my family here, my extended family lives here. I want to make Nebraska a better place. And when I'm done running and serving as your governor, I will be right back here in Nebraska, hopefully in a state that is better than when I started. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hello, and thank you, Cattleman, for hosting this tonight. My name is McNich, and in the spirit of transparency, truthfulness, and honesty from one Nebraskan to another, I need to tell you that Michael Conley is my brother, and I hope you can appreciate that people can be of the same family and be very different. So, love you, bro. A little bit about me. I have lived in Nebraska all 57 years of my life. I grew up in York, Nebraska, graduated from York High School at York College, where I studied the Gospels and the Minor Prophets, and then went to the University of Nebraska at Kearney, graduating with a degree in education. Couldn't find a full-time job, so I went to work in a maximum custody prison in York, where I was a corrections corporal, and then an emergency preparedness response specialist and hostage negotiator. I transferred from York to Lincoln and worked at LCC, the treatment center at Air Park, and the state penitentiary, training everybody from the leader of corrections to the newest employee. From there, I was recruited to the Nebraska Emergency Management Agency, where I was an exercise training officer, training first responders across the state in mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery, and state agencies for continuity of operations, continuity of government. I helped with the activation of the Strategic National Stockpile for the anthrax scare. And then I was the Director of School Safety and Security for the Department of Education in 244 school districts across the state, updating the safety plans. I was a governor's appointee to the Anti-Terrorism Advisory Council, and the Nebraska Infrastructure Protection Council.
Good evening. A little loud. I'll hold it away. Good evening. My name is Brent Lindstrom. Great to be back in North Platte. It's been fun to see what has happened and transformed here over the last couple of months, and what's going on in the meatpacking industry, and what you folks are doing to disrupt what would be otherwise a monopoly. And so, one, kudos to you and the community who stepped up to do that. Again, Brent Lindstrom, born and raised in Nebraska. Husband of 14 years to my wife Lee, dad of 3 young kids, 10, 8, and 5. And they obviously keep me busy wearing the dad hat. Private sector, I've been in investments the last nearly 20 years. In the last 8 years, I'm going into my last term as a state senator. And over the time frame, worked on and passed a lot of different bills. In fact, I got some good news to report today. We, if you're familiar with Convention of the States, I'm sure there's some supporters in there, that went to the final reading. So we voted on that, it's passed, select file, and now on final reading. The other good news is something I've worked on ever since I was campaigning. I know there's some legislative candidates in the room, and you're probably talking about 3 issues. One of those issues for me was eliminating the tax on Social Security income. Last year we did military retirement, so you're no longer taxed if you're collecting that as a retirement source. My bill yesterday had the hearing, was voted on, voted out, and is up on the floor tomorrow, which is again my priority. We will speed that up, and we will no longer tax Social Security in the state of Nebraska. Phased out, and it'll stop in 2025. So some of the things I've worked on, I look forward to engaging in this conversation tonight on the things that matter to you, things that I will continue to work on and fight on your behalf, and I look forward to making sure that Nebraska is a place where we want to raise our kids through next generation leadership and that experience to hit the ground running in January 2023.